it's Emily from Emily's Stamping Grounds. Thanks for tuning in. This is my set of cards I made with the new Pinkfresh Studios Butterflies die stencil and stamp set. And I love the graphic look of these, how big they are, how bold they are. I just think they're beautiful. So I stamped quite a few of these onto white cardstock, and the two butterflies stamp as one stamp, and then the stencils layer, and you can layer them to do both butterflies with the same color at the same time. So for this one, I'm doing a peach coral and navy blue combo. So I used Peach Fuzz, I think it's called Peach Fuzz by Pinkfresh Studio. I'll make sure to put the names down in the description. And this is the first stencil. You can see it does the top of the wings on both butterflies. As I went along and did more of these, and I really stenciled a lot of butterflies, I realized that I liked doing the lightest color first, and you could really use these stencils in any order. So sometimes if I had like yellow on the middle stencil, I would do that one first and then come back later. So I'm using a couple Stampin' Up colors that are retired. This one is called Crisp Cantaloupe, I think. These are old inks I have in my stash, and so you just find the colors you think that go together within your stash as well. If you like this color combo, I'm sure you can recreate it with a lot of different inks you might have. I ended up thinking in the end that Peach Fuzz might have looked a little yellow when put up against the coral colors, so I go back over it later with a little bit of that Crisp Cantaloupe, I believe. And so for the middle section here, I used Flirty Flamingo from Stampin' Up! To make sure in my description that I have that right. I may have flipped the Crisp Cantaloupe and the Flirty Flamingo, but I think this is the Flirty Flamingo. Yet again, I don't know if Stampin' Up! Even sells that color anymore. So, go into your stash and find some coral colors that you like. And this is kind of where I decided that no, actually it wasn't. So here I used a Pinkfresh Studios ink as called Passion Fruit to get the edges of these wings. And I just love the way this die cut comes together. So yeah, here's where I decided that I wanted to go back over that Peach Fuzz with a little of the Crisp Cantaloupe. It was reading so yellow to me, and even though it's not a very yellow color up against the other ones, it really looked it, and I was going for more of a coral color this time, so I went over it again. Don't be afraid to do that and get a new color, see what happens. To line up my stencil a little bit more. And then my last color is a Night of Navy from Stampin' Up! I have some nice Pinkfresh Studio colors that might have worked here, like Stargazer or Sapphire Blue, but I went with this navy from Stampin' Up! And I really liked it in the end. I did the body and the wingtips both in this navy, but you could always mask off the body if you want to do it in a different color than the rest of the butterfly wings there. If you wanted to do like a black body or something, you could mask it off, or actually, you could even probably not mask it off. The sections are far enough away from each other that would work. And that is the butterfly again, and in the end, and I am kind of obsessed. And so with that color combo, and I ended up making several of these. And I do not recommend this tape I have. I got it from Home Depot. It said it was for delicate surfaces. I thought it would be a great tape to hold my die cuts in place, and it is just a little too sticky. So don't get that. Don't recommend it. But those are the first two butterflies that I colored. And then I wanted to do an all blue mint colored green and blue version. And so this is the next set I did. And I did mint first on the first stencil. I probably could have sped through this just a little more. I don't know how many times you want to watch me stencil a butterfly, but I did it 2 or 3 times in this video, so that is the mint. And don't forget to do the second wing before you take that tape off. I can't tell you how many times I did that. And then I went with the meadow, I believe, on this stencil, which I actually think is the 4th stencil if you're looking at the layered at the numbers on the layering stencils. But like I said, you can do them out of order and it doesn't really matter. I just like doing the lightest color first, I think. Especially if you're doing a rainbow butterfly, if you do that yellow layer in the middle first, I think that works best, just to keep the colors from getting muddy. So on this bit, I believe this is Ocean Breeze. Yes, this is the Ocean Breeze on the second stencil in the layering stencils. And this comes together so quick, and I can't tell you how much I love the results. And I think after the inks sit there and dry for a little bit, I think they end up looking even better after, I don't know, the colors kind of soak into the paper, and by the time I would walk away and come back, 15 minutes later, I would think that each one was just so cool. I can't tell you how many of these butterflies I stenciled that day. I did rainbows and light and dark rainbows, and this is Blue Jay on the 3rd stencil in the set, and it does the wingtips and the body. And I ended up doing the body in sapphire, but I don't even know if you can really tell the difference. So anyway, these are the 3 colors of butterfly I did for my cards. I will make sure to put the colors below for the yellow ones that I did. As you can see here, a couple of the rainbow ones and the light rainbow ones, and I will try to recreate all my color combinations and put them in the description on my blog. I think I did even a medium color combination, but I don't know if I bring that into, yeah, here we go. This was like my medium color, dark, light, medium, using all Pinkfresh Studio inks on those rainbow ones. So I will make sure to put all of that in the blog description. So I took a piece of, I think this is called Seaside Spray by Stampin' Up, and I cut it and made it into a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch note card, top folding note card. I thought these blues and navies would go really well with the coral and navy in the butterfly. This is a new tailored expression. I think it's called Diamond Tiles Pierced Background Die. I'll make sure to put a link in the blog to that as well. And then I don't even think I showed you a picture of this card at the beginning of the video. It's sort of like a bonus card that happens here. I wanted to use a circle die. If you can see down below on the left hand side of my screen, kind of basing it off of that My Favorite Things sketch down there. If I am stumped for something, I will go to a sketch every time, see how I want to use it. That was a new Altenew 3D embossing folder. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I will make sure to put that in the link below as well. And then I think I've decided that I need to cut my cardstock just a tiny bit bigger when I use a 3D embossing folder. I think the 3D embossing folders shrink the cardstock ever so slightly when they run it through and, you know, pull the fibers in of the paper. And you can see there's just a little gap at the bottom there, and I end up cutting that off later so that my card is even at the bottom. And I'm sorry for the jump there a couple times in my video, but I put some pearls on to finish off the card, and then I used those Perfect Sentiments hot foil sentiments and dies from Pinkfresh as well to finish off that card. And then for this one, I cut a stitched rectangle with a Mama Elephant stitched die, and I cut a stitched circle with a lawn fawn die, and then I cut just a ton of sentiment strips using a tailored expression simple strips background and die set that I briefly showed there. And then I'm going to bring in an Altenew background die. I think it's called Diagonal Stripes. I love this background stamp. I can't tell you how often I use it to add just a little something to the background of a card. Here I'm going to use just a slightly darker blue ink. Actually, I think I used the navy ink on that medium toned blue cardstock. I believe that one is called Marina Mist from Stampin' Up. And stamp that down, get something to go over a little easier with, make sure that the stamping's even, and then I do it twice to get it all nice and crisp looking. This was based on another My Favorite Things sketch. I can't tell you how often I use those if I just need a little inspiration. I can do color, I can stamp, I can stencil, I can make sentiments, but for some reason I just struggle a little sometimes on how to finish a card and put it all together with all my elements, and I find those so handy. I've printed them all out and have them in a binder that I resource all the time. So you can see here I scattered some Lucy's cards, pearls all over the card and put in a sentiment strip right across the middle of the butterfly, and that was the end of that one. And then for this one I wanted to put a stitched piece across the center of this card, but I didn't have anything that was the right size, so I actually used a long slimline stitched rectangle from Lawn Fawn and cut that out and then cut it down to size to fit my 5.5 by 4.25 inch card. And then I'm going to put another smaller strip in between those two stitched lines that that die made. I'm measuring it there. You know, the die was about 3 inches, and so I think I went with probably 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 2 5/8, somewhere in there, so that I could still see the stitching on each side of that middle turquoisey colored piece. And then I keep deciding I want to use circles on cards to really highlight the main image. So in this case, I went with a white circle, stitch circle, outside in stitch circle from Lawn Fawn. And then this is a Simon Says stamp stencil that I bought a long time ago and have not used, so I decided to get it out of my stash and give that a try. And I thought the petals almost sort of mimicked the butterfly wings, so I thought that was a good compliment to my butterflies. And this is Coastal Cabana cardstock, I think, from Stampin' Up! That I'm using here, and that green is Mint Julep from Tailored Expressions, and then that lighter blue is Pool Party from Stampin' Up! And I used Ocean Breeze ink to kind of do a tone-on-tone stenciling effect there. Layered it all together and glued my butterfly down, and yet again put another sentiment strip in the middle of it. Decided on a happy birthday card for my niece, and scattered some jewels that I had. These were some Lucy's Cards jewels, come in kind of rainbow colors, and I picked out green ones to complement colors in my card, and that was it. So this last card was actually, the color combo was actually inspired by my shopping cart at Tailored Expressions. I put a whole bunch of different colored, watermelony, pink colored cardstock and yellows into my cart, and I loved the way they all looked together, and so was trying to recreate that on my card, and I ended up thinking that the pink was just a little too much on the card, and then it looked better just as an accent on the butterfly. So I went with potato chip for the background, and that is embossed, or not embossed, die cut with the 3D, the diamond tiles embossing. I can't speak. Diamond tiles die background. And then I did a layer of, I believe it's lemon meringue yellow circle in the background, and then a white outside in stitched white circle. And that was how I finished off that card, with yet another sentiment strip from Tailored Expressions. So thank you for tuning in. I will make sure to link to everything below, because I know I sped through this a lot. But I ended up being so happy with how these cards turned out that I just want to make a whole lot more and send them out to everybody I know. For those, I don't know what jewels I used for this. Oh, I used some Lucy's Cards jewels for those too. So I will make sure to put a link to those red jewels in below if they still have them. I think that they were kind of a Valentine mix. So I'll make sure to see if the. Thanks for watching. These are my 3 cards I made, and I love them, and I will make a ton more, and I hope you enjoyed them. Have a good day.